Next on BGSU Brain Game, it is Northwood versus Van Wert. I think we better buckle up for a bodacious brain brawl. Only one team can leave victorious. Who's it going to be? Only one way to find out. BGSU Brain Game starts right now. And welcome to BGSU Brain Game, Northwood versus Van Wert. Let's get right to it and meet our team. Starting off with Van Wert. Tell us who you are.
My name's Kaylee. I'm a senior. To my left is Natalie. She's also a senior. To my right is Cadence. She's a sophomore, and we're coached by Anita Zuber.
All right, welcome to Van Wert. Northwood, tell us who you are.
I'm Adrian. To my left, we have Quentin. And to my right, we have Cassie, and we're coached by Mr. Myers.
All right, welcome to Northwood and to Van Wert, both of our teams. We're going to start things off as we always do in our toss-up round. In our toss-up round, all questions are worth 10 points, no deduction for an incorrect answer. You may confer before buzzing in, and you can, I repeat, you can steal a question in this round. Van Wert, Northwood, you ready? All right, this toss-up round starts right now. Located in the northwest region of the state of Pennsylvania, this national forest shares its name with a smaller mountain range, which is part of the Appalachians. Identify this forest whose name begins with the letter A. The Allegheny National Forest. Located at the southern end of the Iberian Peninsula, this enormous limestone formation is often referred to as the meeting place of the continents. Name this dramatic rock that shares its name with the strait it overlooks. That would be Van Wert. Cadence.
Gibraltar.
Correct, Gibraltar. Which Civil War hero of Mobile Bay was immortalized in a bronze statue in Madison Square Garden in the late 19th century? His quotation is, "Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead." That will be Admiral David G. Farragut. Because of the benefits of international sharing among the city-states of Italy located on the Mediterranean Sea, what era of cultural rebirth from the 14th to the 17th? That would be Van Wert. Natalie.
The Renaissance.
The Renaissance. That is indeed what we were looking for. John Steinbeck's story about George and Lenny and Daniel that would be Van Wert. Kaylee.
Of Mice and Men.
We cannot accept that. I'm sorry. I need to finish it. Both a rodent in the major storyline. What type of creature did both Lenny and Charlie keep? That will be Northwood. Casey.
A rat.
We cannot accept that. It was a mouse. It is Mice. Of Mice and Men obviously was the title of that book. Okay, identify the legal term used to designate the granting of early release to a prisoner who has demonstrated good behavior and committed to this. That would be Van Wert. Natalie.
Amnesty.
Amnesty. Will we accept amnesty? We cannot accept amnesty. Behavior and committed to the same upon his or her release. Northwood, would you like to steal this question? And that time, they were out on parole. Out on parole. What American author won the Pulitzer Prize in 1951 for his novel The Caine Mutiny? Time. Herman Wouk. Name the Mediterranean island nation that is sometimes called the cradle of Western civilization. The island of Crete is part of the archipelago. Greece is what we wanted there. In a plane, the graphs of two lines with equivalent equations turn out to be the same line. What adjective that begins with the letter C describes these lines? That would be Northwood. Quentin.
Congruent.
Congruent. Incorrect. Van Wert, would you like to steal? That would be Kaylee.
Convergent.
Incorrect. We were looking specifically for coincidental is what we needed there. What is the motto of the state of California? Eureka. Formed by lava that flows from volcanoes or cracks in the earth. This hard, dark, fine-grained glassy rock that would be Van Wert. Natalie.
Obsidian?
Incorrect. Is composed of feldspar and pyroxene. Identify this igneous rock form that begins with the letter B. That would be basalt. Basalt. As of 2019, who has been nominated for more Academy Awards than any other actress? That would be Van Wert. Cadence.
Meryl Streep.
It is indeed Meryl Streep. This word is used to describe a story with more than one level of meaning. George Orwell's Animal Farm. That would be Van Wert. Natalie.
Allegory?
Is an allegory, yes. Identify the American poet whose famous lines include, "Because I could not stop for death." Van Wert. Cadence.
Emily Dickinson.
Emily Dickinson. That would be end of round. Let's take a look at our score. Northwood at 0 currently, and Van Wert in the lead with 50 points. But things can change very, very quickly because our head-to-head round is coming up next. Stay tuned. And welcome back to BGSU Brain Game. Northwood and Van Wert. 50 points in the lead right now is Van Wert as we get ready to move to our next round. Before we do that, though, we have some substitutions. Northwood, looks like you've shuffled the deck on your team. Tell us who you are.
My name's Isaac. To my right is Caleb, and to my left is Logan.
All right, welcome to you all. Van Wert staying with the lineup from the last round. All right, this is our head-to-head round. In this round, both teams, you're going to get 15 questions. They're the same 15 questions. They're worth 10 points apiece. No deduction for an incorrect answer, so feel free to just live a little, if you know what I mean. Now, you can confer before buzzing in, and you can even confer after, though the clock is ticking once you buzz in. You can also pass in this round, but you must buzz in and say pass. If you do pass on a question, we will not, I repeat, we will not return to that question. We're going to start things off with Van Wert. Since you're at 50 points, you're going to be sticking around. That means Northwood, you're off to isolation. All right, Van Wert, are you ready for your 15 head-to-head questions? This round for you starts right now. In the human eye, rods and cones are light-sensitive cells that assist in the ability to see. Identify the 3 colors differentiated by cones.
Green, red, and yellow.
Incorrect. Red, green, and blue. This word, beginning with the letter E, means the gradual descent into disorder of a system.
Pass.
Entropy. A complex, balanced group of plants, animals, and the environment in which they live, including soil, air, water, sunlight, minerals, and nutrients, is called what?
Ecosystem.
Correct. Located off the southern coast of the United States and encompassing 700,000 square miles, named the world's largest gulf.
Gulf of Mexico.
Correct. Kathmandu is the capital of what Asian nation?
Nepal.
Correct. What was the first sport to be televised in the United States?
Football.
Incorrect. Baseball. What is the name of the major fault line that runs through California?
San Andreas Fault.
Correct. Cryptic coloration helps protect many animal species from predators. What is the more common term?
Camouflage.
Correct. This popular summer vacation spot is located on a hook-shaped peninsula extending into the Atlantic Ocean from the southeastern corner of Massachusetts.
Cape Cod.
Correct. What figure of speech uses exaggeration for emphasis?
Hyperbole.
Correct. Identify the chemical that is often added in controlled amounts to public water sources as a
Chlorine.
incorrect. Fluoride. Which U.S. president held the first press conference?
FDR.
Incorrect. Woodrow Wilson. What is the northernmost point in the 50 United States?
Alaska.
Incorrect. Utqiagvik is what we were looking for there. C.S. Lewis, a prolific writer and Oxford Don, wrote a series of children's books about a magical kingdom. End of round. All right, Van Wert, that is the end of the head-to-head round for you. That is now means it's time for you to go off to isolation. All right, let's bring back in Northwood. Northwood, are you ready for your 15 head-to-head questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Your time starts right now. In the human eye, rods and cones are light-sensitive cells that assist in the ability to see. Identify the 3 colors differentiated by cones.
Red, yellow, blue.
Incorrect. Red, green, blue. This word, beginning with the letter E, means the gradual descent into disorder of a system.
Pass.
Entropy. A complex, balanced group of plants, animals, and the environment in which they live, including soil, air, water, sunlight, minerals, and nutrients, is called what?
Ecosystem.
Correct. Located off the southern coast of the United States and encompassing 700,000 square miles, name the world's largest gulf.
Gulf of Mexico.
Correct. Kathmandu is the capital of what Asian nation?
Siam.
Nepal. What was the first sport to be televised in the United States?
Baseball.
Correct. What is the name of the major fault line that runs through California?
San Andreas Fault.
Correct. Cryptic coloration helps protect many animal species from predators. What is the more common term for use? What common term for use of color to hide?
Camouflage.
Correct. This popular summer vacation spot is located on a hook-shaped peninsula extending into the Atlantic Ocean from the southeastern corner of Massachusetts.
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod is correct. What figure of speech uses exaggeration for emphasis?
Hyperbole.
Correct. Identify the chemical that is often added in controlled amounts to public water sources as a means of reducing tooth decay.
Fluoride.
Correct. Which U.S. president held the first press conference?
John Adams.
Incorrect. Woodrow Wilson. What is the northernmost point in the 50 United States?
Alaska.
Utqiagvik is what we actually needed there. That is the end of the head-to-head round for Northwood. It is now time to clear our score, and let's bring back in Van Wert. All right, now with both of our teams present, let's see where we stand. Van Wert has how many points? 120. Northwood has 80 points. The plot thickens. It does indeed. Our category round is coming up next, where questions are worth 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 points, and deductions are going to start. Anything can happen. Stay tuned. And welcome back to BGSU Brain Game. Northwood 80 points, Van Wert 120 points. Van Wert, looks like you've decided to stay with the same lineup from the last round, but Northwood, you've shaken things up again. Tell us who you are.
I'm Mitchell. I'm a junior. To my left is AJ, a sophomore, and to my right is Devonte, a junior.
All right, welcome to you all. This is our category round. This is where the power shifts a little bit to our teams. Teams, take a look. We have 6 categories to choose from. Inside each category are questions worth 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 points. So things can change very, very quickly. And if that's not enough, deductions start now. That's right. If you go for 30, you're going to lose 30 if you get it wrong. You may confer before buzzing in, not after. If you do, you will lose the number of points you are going for. But you can't steal a question again. You can steal a question in this round. All right. Northwood, since you are at 80 points, you have the honor of making the first selection.
Let's go military lingo 15.
Military lingo for 15. There are 26 code words assigned to the 26 letters of the English alphabet. I will give you the letter and a clue. You must provide the code word. The letter is B, and the clue is a cheer for an opera singer.
Bravo.
Northwood, Mitchell.
Bravo.
Correct. Northwood, in control.
Military lingo 25.
Military lingo now for 25 points. The letter is T. It takes two to do, that would be Van Wert. Natalie.
Tango.
Tango. Van Wert takes control.
Musical potpourri for 30.
Musical potpourri for 30 points. I will provide a definition or a description related to the world of music. You identify the term described. Family of instruments that includes the tuba. That will be Northwood. Mitchell.
Brass.
They are indeed brass. Northwood takes back control.
Musical potpourri 25.
Musical potpourri for 25 points. How many beats does a quarter note take in, that will be Northwood. Mitchell.
1 beat.
1, yes. Northwood in control and in the lead.
Let's stay with music 20.
Musical potpourri for 20 points. Largest member of the string family. That would be Van Wert. Natalie.
The cello.
Incorrect. That would Northwood. Mitchell.
Harp.
Incorrect. It is the bass or the contrabass. All right, Northwood in control.
Military lingo 30.
Military lingo for 30 points. The letter is G, a game that includes sand traps, fairways. Northwood. Mitchell.
Golf.
Golf is correct. Northwood in control.
American playwrights 20.
American playwrights for 20 points. I will say the name of a play. You give the name of the playwright. A Raisin in the Sun. Van Wert. Natalie.
Hansberry.
Correct. Van Wert in control.
Playwrights for 30.
Playwrights for 30 points. Desire Under the Elms. That would be Eugene O'Neill. Van Wert, still your ball.
Musical potpourri for 15.
Musical potpourri for 15 points. Another name beginning with M for a sequence of single tones that produces a rhythmic whole. Northwood. Mitchell.
Melody.
It is a melody, yes, that's what we were looking for. Northwood in control.
Science sound for 15.
Science sound for 15 points. Give the correct response to the definition of these sounds of science. The number of sound waves that passes a point in a given unit of time. That would be Van Wert. Cadence.
Hertz.
Incorrect. Northwood, would you like to steal? That's time on that. Frequency is what we were looking for there. Northwood, you are still in control.
Let's go things Welsh for 20.
Things Welsh for 20 points. Who is the national poet of Scotland? Van Wert. Cadence.
Robert Burns.
Correct. Van Wert in control.
Things Welsh for 15.
Things Welsh for 15 points. What is the capital of England? That would be Van Wert. Cadence.
London.
Correct. Van Wert in control, making a move.
Things Welsh for 10.
Things Welsh for 10 points. What is the meaning of the Scots word loch? Van Wert. Cadence.
Lake.
Lake, yes. Van Wert in control, and we are tied.
Things Welsh 25.
Things Welsh for 25 points. What mythical fire-breathing creature?
Dragon.
Northwood. Mitchell.
Sorry. Dragon.
Dragon, yes. Northwood in control. Takes the lead.
Musical potpourri 10.
Musical potpourri for 10 points. Family of instruments that includes the bassoon and that would be Van Wert. Kaylee.
Woodwind.
They are indeed the woodwinds. Van Wert in control.
American playwrights 25.
American playwrights for 25 points. Fences. August Wilson is what we're looking for there. Van Wert still in the driver's seat.
American Playwrights 15.
American Playwrights for 15 points. Our Town. Van Wert, Natalie.
Wilder.
Correct. Van Wert in control. And we are tied again.
Playwrights for 10.
Playwrights for 10 points. Death of a Salesman. Van Wert, Natalie.
Arthur Miller.
Correct. Van Wert in control and in the lead.
Military lingo for 10.
Military lingo for 10 points. N, it's the 11th month of the year. Van Wert, Kaylee.
November.
November, yes, Van Wert in the lead, in control.
Military lingo 20.
Military lingo for 20, finishing off this category. The letter is O, one member of the odd couple. Northwood, Mitchell.
Oscar.
Oscar, yes, Northwood back in control. We are tied.
Let's go African capitals 10.
African capitals for 10 points. I will name the African nation. You will reply with the capital. Kenya. That will be Van Wert. Cadence.
Nairobi.
Nairobi, yes. Van Wert in control, in the lead.
Things Welsh 30.
Things Welsh for 30 points. Who is the patron saint of England? He was a Roman soldier and an early Christian martyr. Northwood, Mitchell.
St. Nick.
Incorrect. Van Wert, would you like to steal? St. George. Van Wert in control.
Science sound for 10.
Science sound for 10 points. Change in wave frequency caused by the motion of a wave source. Northwood, AJ.
Pitch.
Incorrect. Van Wert, would you like to steal? That is the Doppler effect. The Doppler effect. Van Wert in control.
African capitals 15.
African capitals. End of round. Let's take a look at our score. Northwood at 180 points. Currently in the lead with 230 points is Van Wert, but if the category round is any indication, it is still anybody's game. Brainstorm round coming up next. Stay tuned. And welcome back to BGSU Brain Game. Northwood 180 points, Van Wert 230 points. Van Wert continuing to stay with their lineup. Northwood sticking with their strategy of mixing things up. Mitchell, tell us who's rejoined the team.
Logan is back on my left, and on my right, we have Isaac again.
All right, this is our brainstorm round. In this round, questions are worth 20 points apiece. Negative 20 points for an incorrect answer. You may confer before buzzing in, not after. If you do, it's going to cost you 20 points. No stealing. No stealing in this round. We're going to move immediately to the next question. What does that all mean? It means it's still anybody's game. That's right. Brainstorm round. Both of our teams ready? Starts right now. Death Valley, the lowest point in the United States, is located between California and Nevada. Identify the desert within which it is found. That would be Van Wert. Cadence.
Mojave.
Mojave, yes. This city is the most populous in the province of Quebec, and the second most popular, that would be Van Wert. Cadence.
Montreal.
Montreal, yes. These spongy lymphoid tissue masses are located in the nasopharynx. Name this tissue mass which, when infected, can resemble tonsillitis. That would be Northwood. Mitchell.
Sinuses.
Incorrect. Adenoids is what we wanted there. What document replaced the Articles of Confederation? That would be Van Wert. Kaylee.
The U.S. Constitution.
Correct. In what city was John F. Kennedy assassinated? That would be Van Wert. Cadence.
Dallas.
Correct. Where is Franklin Delano Roosevelt's presidential library located? Hyde Park, New York. Identify the following sentence as simple, compound, complex, or compound complex. Here's the sentence. Because I was so disappointed, I hid in my room for weeks. Van Wert, Cadence.
Compound.
Incorrect. Complex. What kind of element would you find on the left side of the periodic table? Northwood, Isaac.
Metals.
Correct. In 1992, South Africa voted to end its systematic policy of racial discrimination. Van Wert, Cadence.
Apartheid.
Apartheid is correct. In what year did the first colonists land at Jamestown? That would be Van Wert. Natalie.
1620.
Incorrect. 1607. This man ruled Mexico from 1502 to 1520. He was brought down by Hernan Cortez. Who is he? Montezuma II. What defense did Adolf Eichmann offer for his behavior in the Holocaust? That will be Northwood. Isaac.
That he was following orders.
Correct. What is it called when the temperature at which air is 100% saturated with water vapor causes condensation to form? That would be dew point. What is the name of the part of the brain that is involved in emotions, motivation? Van Wert. Kaylee.
Frontal lobe.
Incorrect. We needed hippocampus there. What is the chief of the Norse gods? Van Wert. Cadence.
Odin.
Odin is correct. Let's take a look at our score. We have Northwood at 200 points, and our winner with 290 points is Van Wert. Let's give both of these teams a big round of applause. Now, in the spirit of good sportsmanship, let's come around, meet in the middle, shake hands, and we'll see you at the next BGSU Brain Game.